Jina yake iliwacha tu kwanza wiki hii, kesho jina yake nakwenda kwa ICC.
This coming a day after Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua stated that the government will take steps to protect Inspector General of Police Japhet Koome from what he alleges is a planned intimidation by the opposition. Also tonight, we turn our attention to the ongoing debate on whether the International Criminal Court could play a role in resolving the current political crisis in the country.
We are competent enough. Tungesema kwamba hii mambo itaweza kusikizwa katika hizi koti yetu na iweze kutatuliwa because Kenya tuko na capacity.
Some express concerns about the feasibility and effectiveness of involving the ICC in the domestic political situation. Plus, President William Ruto has stated that he reached out to Kalonzo Musyoka shortly after being declared the winner, but the leader of the Wiper Party declined to join him in the government. Welcome to the bulletin. Rhoda Nyamai is on the sign language interpretation. I'm used to Stanley Nyerinkita. You can always talk to us on our socials below your screens. I'll be taking a look at that on the tail end of the bulletin. Now, Inspector General of Police Japhet Koome has responded to Azimio la Umoja's threat to take him to The Hague while maintaining that law and order must be maintained in case the opposition plans to take to the streets. Koome has cautioned that the National Police Service shall not allow lawlessness in the country amid another call for protests by Azimio la Umoja after the end of Ramadan. Muge William begins a bulletin tonight.
Inspector General of Police Japhet Koome has reiterated the police tough stance on demonstrators who disrupt the peace of innocent citizens. Koome, who has been singled out by the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition as the person responsible should any harm come to Azimio supporters, has not minced his words. This comes in the wake of Azimio's drafted letter addressed to the International Criminal Court, calling for its intervention to probe the conduct of the National Police Service during earlier protests in the country. Koome further revealed that the Azimio's leadership had followed due process in notifying the police of the intended Sunday activities. The coalition party held its first public baraza at Kamukunji Ground Sunday, days after suspending their weekly Monday and Thursday protest. Unlike in previous scenarios, the police allowed the Azimio leadership to address its supporters, marking a stark difference in their approach.
Wakaandikia OCS Shauri Moyo, wakamwambia watakutana pale na tumekubali na tutawapatia usalama wasungumuze mambo yao, lakini yale yalikuwa nafanyika kule nyuma mnajua ilikuwa ni mass action. Kwa sheria hatuna jambo kama hilo.
However, Koome was quick to caution Azimio and its supporters against any kind of lawlessness or unrest at their functions, emphasizing that law enforcement officers will be on standby to uphold their law.
Lakini wakijaribu, yeyote atajaribu kuharibu mali, yeyote atajaribu kutishia maisha ya Mkenya mwenzake, hapo nitakuja hapo na nitatumia vifaa zote ambazo nimepewa na Wakenya. Si kununua mimi mwenyewe hivi vifaa. Wakenya ndio wamenunulia mimi hivi vifaa, tiagas, bunduki. Ni Wakenya wamenunulia, ndio ni walinde.
Regarding Azimio's call for protest after Ramadan, Koome took issue with the opposition and their plans, stating that the National Police Service will protect the lives and property of all Kenyans regardless of their social status.
Mimi sitaruhusu hata Mkenya mmoja afe. Sitakubali. I will have slept on the job as the Inspector General. Ntalinda mdogo na mkubwa, na nimesema bila woga na bila kutishwa.
He further called on police officers to discharge their duties without fear or favor, as they have a duty to serve the nation. Muge William, TV47.
Let's talk politics now, and Azimio leader Raila Odinga has announced his intention to take Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua to the International Criminal Court (ICC) of an alleged assassination attempt. Raila alleged that the government had sent police officers who fired 11 bullets at his car during mass protests that took place on March 27th and 30th. The opposition leaders have also said the inclusion of Elders Member of Parliament Adan Keynan in the Kenya Kwanza bipartisan team is ill-motivated and has requested their counterparts from Kenya Kwanza to withdraw Keynan from its list of leaders sent to negotiate with them. And as Mike Kagwongo reports, Odinga maintains the coalition shall embark on anti-government protests should the president Ruto-led government fail to honor their demands.
As the debate on whether or not the International Criminal Court ICC should intervene in the current political crisis in the country, Azimio la Umoja has added to its list individuals it wants prosecuted by the court. Azimio leader Raila Odinga now announcing his intention to take Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua to ICC in light of an alleged assassination attempt.
Bwana Gachagua vile vile tunamshtaki. He is also an accused. Jina yake iliwacha tu kwanza wiki hii, kesho jina yake nakwenda kwa ICC.
Speaking at Azimio la Umoja rally on Sunday held at Kamukonje grounds, Raila claimed that Gachagua had orchestrated the attack by sending police officers who fired 11 bullets at his car during mass protests that took place on March 27th and 30th.
Yeye mwenyewe alisema ati wanataka kumaliza baba once and for all, sio? Na yeye alituma ile askari kutoka Sugoi kuja kuniua. Jamaa amempiga gari yangu risasi 11. Mpiga gari yangu risasi hiyo, bado gari iko kama exhibit.
According to Raila, the officers initially used tear gas on his vehicle during the protest, and when he took cover to avoid the gas, they fired bullets at his car.
Tuko na dawa yake. Tutampeleka yeye Hague. Gachagua tunapeleka Hague. Na wale maaskari ambao walipiga watu wetu na risasi, tuna majina yao yote.
On April 14, Azimio led by lawyer Paul Mwangi sent a letter to the ICC requesting the court to initiate investigations into the political situation in Kenya. The letter, submitted in accordance with Regulation 25 of the Regulation of the Office of the Prosecutor, highlighted 9 issues including targeted attacks on protesters. Meanwhile, the Azimio leadership has termed the inclusion of Elders constituency legislator Adan Keynan in Kenya Kwanza's bipartisan team as disrespectful.
Utakijua kwamba hao watu wana madharau. Wanachukua mmoja wetu ambaye alikuwa ameruka mpaka kaenda ngambo ile nyingine, anaitwa Bwana Keynan,
ya kwamba hatutarudi nyuma mpaka tupate haki yetu.
On Wednesday, the United Democratic Alliance said that the party's decision to involve Keynan in the talks was intentional and aimed at promoting the inclusion of all political parties. The Elders Member of Parliament is a member of the Jubilee Party, which is a part of the Azimio la Umoja coalition, and is among Jubilee members who defected from Azimio and pledged to work with Kenya Kwanza after the August 9 polls. Odinga threatened to mobilize his supporters back to the streets for anti-government protest after Ramadan if their demands will not be met by then.
Tumesema haya ni masharti yetu ya mazungumzo. Hao yote mpaka ziwe agenda kwa mazungumzo. Na hiyo mazungumzo vile vile hatutaki ikae milele na milele. Tumesema ni siku 30. Hiyo siku 30 tulianza kuhesabu wiki jana.
The countrywide public barazas were halted on April 1st to pave the way for bipartisan talks following the commencement of mass protests on March 20th. Azimio also wants the Kenya Kwanza government to lower the cost of living, open IEBC servers for forensic analysis of the poll results, respect of democracy and equal representation of all communities in the government. Mike Kagwongo, TV 47, Nairobi.
And on the other side of the political seesaw, President William Ruto has challenged the opposition to end the conversation on elections and instead champion the interests of the people. Ruto says it is not fair that after elections, politicians drag citizens back to issues relating to elections and leaders. Flora Lemuki tells us more.
As the government and the opposition exchange words in public before the bipartisan approach talks commence, revelations that the government has tried to woo some members of the opposition continue to make headlines.
Hata kama unatafuta haki yako kama kiongozi, unavunja mali ya wananchi kwa nini? Unalete fujo kwa wananchi kwa nini? Unalete vita kwa wananchi kwa nini? Unaharibu biashara ya wananchi kwa sababu gani?
You have no business in the streets. You have no business destroying property. You have no business putting sufurias on your head. And the Kamba people cannot follow a leader who destroys property because it's against what the Kamba nation believes in.
A section of leaders from the Ukambani region has also pledged its support to President William Ruto and his administration in a bid to equally gain on development projects. The regionals for a long time supported the opposition due to the relationship between Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and opposition chief Raila Odinga.
Zote tumekataa mambo ya maandamano na sote tumesema siasa za mtoto wetu tuwache, tuseme rais wetu ni Dr. Ruto.
Na sisi tuko tayari kuendelea na wewe, na viongozi wengine pia wamejitokeza, tumeshikana. Kwa hivyo ukija Ukambani usione kama hauna support ama support yako ni kidogo.
Machakos Governor Wavinya Ndeti openly downplaying the ongoing demonstrations by the opposition, saying that she is only interested in development for our people.
Hii Kenya ni kubwa kushinda sisi wote. It is bigger than all of us. And if talking is going to give us peace, and so be it.
It's a good thing to do, to speak, to dialogue, because we want the peace and we want development.
With anticipated bipartisan talks to forge a way forward for the ruling government and the opposition, Kitui East Member of Parliament Nimrod Mbai says they won't accept a handshake as the Kenya Kwanza leadership.
Sisi tunamshikilia kabisa na nguvu yetu yote, asikubali hii kitu.
And we join you and we join the church in calling on all leaders in our country that we make every effort to ensure that there is peace and mutual edification in our country.
The president has appealed to leaders to unite and work together to confront challenges facing Kenyans. Flora Lemuki, TV47.
Now let's get analytical on the ICC issue. Hours after the Raila Odinga-led Azimio coalition hinted on the resumption of the anti-government protests, the coalition has severally announced that it had petitioned the International Criminal Court (ICC) to investigate senior government officials for what they said was brutalizing opposition supporters during recent protests in Nairobi and Kisumu. The coalition wrote to the office of the prosecutor at the International Criminal Court (ICC) in Hague, seeking investigations into the political situation in Kenya, an issue that has elicited mixed reactions among Kenyans. Chichi Josephine with more.
In a letter penned by Paul Mwangi, the legal representative for Azimio Coalition, it is conveyed to the International Criminal Court (ICC) that the presidential election held on August 9, 2022 has contributed to the current political turmoil in the country. The coalition states that their demonstrations were a form of protest against the worsening political and economic conditions in Kenya. Azimio Coalition has also compiled a list of what they consider to be crimes committed by the state during the demonstrations, with the Inspector General of Police Japheth Koome identified as the main perpetrator. These crimes include establishing a special squad of rogue police officers to unleash terror on Azimio supporters during the demonstrations, abrogating the constitutional rights of Azimio's members by illegally banning the demonstrations, threatening members with death and physical injury if they attempt to exercise their rights, Deliberate attempt by the police to assassinate Azimio's leader Raila Odinga on April 3rd, 2023 in the Pipeline area of Embakasi South constituency. Invasion of the Kenyatta family farm and the attack on the Odinga's family gas plant. Killing and maiming of demonstrators during the demonstrations. In a rebuttal, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua accused the opposition of attempting to intimidate and harass Inspector General Japheth Koome for simply carrying out his duties, and assured that the government would take measures to protect the IG from any form of intimidation.
Na mimi naona they are trying to intimidate the Inspector General of Police Japheth Koome. I want to assure the IG, continue doing your work. You are a very professional IG doing your work professionally. All you did is to protect life and property. Had they not come to the streets, there would have been no issue between the police and the demonstrators.
But even as leaders debate the inclusion of the International Arbiter, a group of internally displaced persons, IDPs, from the 208 post-election skirmishes have expressed their reservations about the idea of involving the ICC, what they termed as seeking external solutions for Kenya's internal affairs.
Vile walisema siku ya kwanza, let's not be vague, let's go to the Hague. Hiyo sasa ndio ilikuwa mbaya kabisa, kwa sababu walijua ICC is not the solution. ICC ita create positions za watu, ICC ita create biashara za wengine, lakini waadhiriwa wataumia.
Sisi tunakuwa naomba kama inawezekana mambo ya ICC tuache, mambo ya ndani kwa ndani yetu tumalizie hapa nyumbani, alafu tutaendelea kwa njia mzuri kama tutamaliza mambo yetu, mzozo yetu ya nyumbani bila kupelekea watu ya wazungu huko nje.
Hili swala ambalo Azimio sasa imeelekea kutuelekeza, mambo ya maandamano, mambo ya kurudi Hague, sisi tunaona hatuna mwelekeo.
Bernard Kipkoech, an advocate of the High Court, explains a number of crimes categorized as against humanity and able to trigger the intervention of the ICC.
There are a number of offenses that would attract the International Criminal Court. For example, massive deportation of people, that is one of them. The other one is genocide. You could have several people from a particular community, from a particular class, from a particular hegemony eliminated.
He explains that Article 123 of the Rome Statute emphasizes the principle of complementarity, which highlights the responsibility of the national authorities in investigating and prosecuting perpetrators of crimes against humanity.
Before the International Criminal Court swings into action and takes on a certain country, takes on certain individuals in a certain country, there is something called complementarity under Article 17 of the Rome Statute. What complementarity principle says is that the responsibility of dealing with crimes, the responsibility of dealing with violations of the law in a certain country rests at the first instance with the jurisdiction of that country.
The principle of complementarity means that the International Criminal Court, ICC, can only intervene when the national investigation and prosecution systems are unable or unwilling to genuinely carry out the investigation and prosecution of such crimes.
The Kenyan situation in 2007-2008 was clearer. The government was not willing to prosecute. The government was not willing to take action against the perpetrators. Unlike in 2023, where the government has not refused to investigate, the Inspector General of Police, the Office of the Directorate of Public Prosecution have been heard directing and making sure that investigations were conducted.
Bernard further explains that if the investigation departments in Kenya have failed, it is the primary jurisdiction of Kenya to collect evidence and take appropriate legal action against the perpetrators of crimes against humanity. The ICC will only intervene when the national authorities are unable or unwilling to genuinely carry out their responsibilities in investigating and prosecuting these crimes.
Jurisdiction at the first instance rests with the state, because the state has the necessary apparatus, has a necessary structure to be able to monitor, to be able to investigate, and to collect evidence of those people who are responsible for perpetration of crimes.
But the question remains, would the intervention of ICC into the matter provide a sustainable solution?
My suggestion, therefore, would be the ICC would be a long shot for the kind of a problem that we have in this country, and placing any reliance is expecting the same results we had subsequent to the post-election violence of 2007.
For purposes of establishing that the state failed to investigate the Inspector General of Police, Azimio will have to demonstrate that the government has failed to commence investigations.
Purposes of establishing that the state has failed, it will be very difficult on the side of Azimio la Umoja to demonstrate that the primary jurisdiction, that is the Kenyan government, through the police and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, have refused to commence investigations.
According to the advocate, both Raila Odinga and the Inspector General of Police played a part in the eruption of violence during the protests.
We blame Baba Raila Amolo Odinga 70% in the manner in which this violence has come out. This violence has been meted out on innocent Kenyan. And then the Inspector General of Police has also been seen to be commanding a force that in some cases is using unnecessarily unreasonable force. The final analysis, I think Baba Raila Amolo Odinga should be accused number 1, with the IG Koome being accused number 2.
Chichi Josephine, TV47.
Thank you, Chichi Josephine, for that. And indeed, wait to see if the ICC factor will be a band-aid or a posterity. Now, more pressure is being piled by religious leaders on the opposition in the country to stop their call for protests and find a solution through dialogue with the government. Reporter Isaac Famba tells us more.
While the opposition votes to return to the street, mixed reactions have elicited all over the country in relation to the intended move. Religious leaders in Trans Nzoia County have called on the opposition to halt the plan and agreed to continue with the scheduled dialogue between them and the Kenya Kwanza government.
We don't want to see demos anymore in this country. The few days we had them, we saw what happened. We have seen loss of lives already. People have died. We should be thinking of the people who are dying in those demos.
Siaya County religious leaders have also recommended to use dialogue between both parties to avoid effects of protests which have already been seen to affect the country's economy.
Of challenges, it's our appeal that we do not go back to the streets, but continue until we can get a solution to the issues that are affecting Kenyans. Going to the streets will not solve our problems, but when we sit and talk, we can be able to find solutions to our problems as people that live in one nation.
Because you find a week was only reduced to 2 working days, and people cannot be productive with only 2 days in a week. So I urge the Azimio leadership to sit with the Kenya Kwanza leadership as they have agreed that they are going to have a bipartisan meeting and agreements. Let them continue to dialogue so that we can give the Kenyans what they desire.
Meanwhile, in Embu County, different political leaders have also asked opposition leader Raila Odinga to give dialogue a chance for the country to rally space.
Na kama alichagua watu 7 waende wakutane na wale viongozi wengine 7 wa kutoka kwa upande wa Kenya Kwanza, ninafikiria nafaa kupatia au viongozi 14 nafasi ya kujadiliana yale mambo ambayo anataka ifanywe.
It is totally illegal to negotiate or to talk out of parliament and county assemblies, because the representatives of the people of Kenya are in parliament, and the parliament is constituted into 2, the National Assembly and the Senate.
Isaac Famba, TV47.
Now, on a sad note, the death toll in the accident that occurred along the Mwatate-Wundanyi Road has risen to 10. This is after a bus the victims were traveling in lost control and rolled over before landing on a ditch at the Joseph Blackspot in Taita Taveta County. And as Andrin Clemi reports, the passengers were mourners who were traveling to Mombasa from Mgamboni, where they had attended a burial ceremony.
This is what remains of the public service bus that crashed in the 8 p.m. incident. The passengers were coming from a burial ceremony in Mgamboni, Wundanyi sub-county. Their journey came to an abrupt halt at the Joseph Blackspot area of Taita Taveta County, as 5 people died on the spot, with the death toll now standing at 10. Survivors of the accident say the driver lost control of the bus that was ferrying at least 34 mourners. It is believed that the bus developed some mechanical problems, losing its brakes and rolling over several times before landing into a ditch.
Ya kwanza alifaulu kupiga, ya pili pia kafaulu kupiga, ya tatu kafaulu kupiga, lakini ile ya nne ilimsumbua akashindwa kuregesha gari ikaanguka upande wa right hand side. Hakufaulu, hakuweza kuiregesha barabarani kwa sababu alikuwa speed. Na gari ilikuwa na watu wengine walikuwa wamesimama juu. Sijui kama kule nyuma kulikuwa kuna nafasi ya viti ama kuna, lakini watu walikuwa wamesimama watatu.
Speaking at Moi County Referral Hospital, Taita Taveta County Governor Andrew Mwadime called upon the Kenya National Highway Authority KENHA to look for a permanent solution as the area which has been termed as a black spot has claimed many lives.
Waliotuacha ni watu 10, wawili wakiwa wanaume na 8 wakiwa kina mama. Na naomba wananchi wakati wa tukio kama hili sote tuwe kitu kimoja, kama ule mfano watu walionyesha jana baada ya hii ajali.
According to the latest report by the National Transport and Safety Authority NTSA, 1,072 people have died on our Kenyan roads since January this year. 362 of those are pedestrians, 302 are motorcyclists, 184 are passengers, 101 are pillion passengers, 104 are drivers, while 19 are pedal cyclists. The report further shows that Machakos County recorded the highest number of driver fatalities, with most accidents happening along the Nairobi-Mombasa highway. Nakuru and Meru had the highest number of motorcyclist and pillion passenger fatalities at 33 and 30 deaths respectively, while Nairobi and Kiambu had the highest number of pedestrian fatalities at 56 and 45 deaths respectively. Motorcycles and private vehicles have contributed to the highest number of fatalities at 284 and 272 deaths respectively. The NTSA report indicates that the majority of those who died from road accidents were men at 83%, a situation which was attributed to risky behavior on the roads and distracted driving or walking and riding in the wrong areas of the road. Andrin Kilemi, TV 47.
Quite sad and unfortunate turn of events. May their souls rest in eternal peace. Now let's cross over to the northern part of Kenya. And Baringo County leaders are calling for a one-on-one meeting with President William Ruto to discuss the ongoing banditry attacks that have brought unrest to the region. The leaders made the request during an interdenominational service for peaceful prayer in Baringo South, where they criticized the Inspector General of Police, Japhet Koome, for failing to act on orders to eliminate the bandits responsible for the violence, calling it a disgrace. Norbert Odor tells us more.
Baringo County leaders are growing increasingly frustrated with the continuous banditry attacks in their regions, and now they want to engage with the president directly.
Njia moja tu tutafutie sisi njia ya kwenda kuona hii rais yetu. Tafadhalini, mimi naomba nyinyi, mtu yeyote ile ambaye iko uwezo ya kumpa sisi nafasi ya kwenda ona rais, tafutia sisi nafasi.
They lashed out at the Inspector General of Police for allegedly not implementing orders to flush out bandits in the region who continue to wreak havoc in the area.
Lakini ningependa kuomba IG wetu watumie mbinu yote. Wewe uko na DCI, wewe uko na NSIS, uko na intelligence yote. Hata kama ni military intelligence tunaweza kuwapata. Tunataka wafanye uchunguzi waweze kupata wale ambao wanapanga hii maneno.
Mochongoi Ward Member of County Assembly Kipruto Kimosop was among those who criticized the Inspector General of Police. He says that the bandit attacks have caused a lot of pain to the people of Baringo, and it's time for the government to take a decisive action.
Mbona juzi wakati Raila alifuruka Nairobi, wewe ulitoa ukali sana kwa Raila, ukatoa macho, ukasema uogopi ICC. Mbona usikuja hapa utoe hiyo ukali, utolee bandits na utusaidie kufanyia bandits operation.
Baringo South Member of Parliament Charles Kamuren claimed that the government will deploy 100 national police reservists as an immediate measure to address insecurity in Baringo South and Baringo North.
Wale wanaohusika wote muanze operation, saa ile mnachukua pinduki hii ya wakora, hata wale wako ofisini muanze tusikie kwamba mmeanza kushika hawa na mnavuata hawa. Kwa sababu wako maofisi. Nataka muanzie Baringo County. Wale wakora wako wanafanya kazi kwa kaunti yetu. Wale wana support hii ulakai.
The insecurity situation in Baringo County has reached alarming levels, with the recent incident being last week Wednesday, where bandits shot one person dead and drove away 77 herds of cattle. The situation was further compounded when the bandits shot dead a peace ambassador Collins Kwanyiko after he questioned them as to why they keep on raiding and bringing animosity among the people of Baringo, thus forcing the local leaders to call for an urgent meeting with the president. The leaders were speaking in Baringo South today during an interdenomination service to pray for peace. Norbert Odur, TV 47.
That story by Norbert Odur takes us to a fast short break. You're watching TV 47. You can.
Wakati mwingine kama weekend, mimi najiachilia.
Hata ukumbuki history.
Nikifika watu wangu wakinipokea na kupokeleka.
Umeset the mood.
Nimeset the mood. Naweza kupokeleka. Nikitumai kwamba mzima popote pale ulipo, nikikukaribisha katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi. Jina langu Elizabeth Mutuku, na katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi tunakupa nafasi kutangamana nao kila siku ya Alhamisi kuanzia saa 1:30 kuendelea siku nyingine. Tutapatana papa hapa umjue kiongozi mwingine.
Jiunge nasi toka hapa hadi ufuoni mwa bahari. Meli yetu itakapotua nanga kwa uhondo ribo ya riwaya hii mwisho wa kosa. Monica.
It's early morning in Maralal. Start your morning informed, educated, entertained, and above all, know your country. From the beautiful plains of Samburu County to the skyscrapers of Nairobi, Morning Cafe certainly got you covered. Indeed, a beautiful place to watch and certainly a moment of understanding and knowing your country. Indeed, to the remotest parts of every county.
Join me, Linda Alela, every weekday from 6 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
The diversity of Kenya's wildlife has garnered international fame.
This is pellets that we give to the tourists, the giraffes. We ration because we don't want the giraffes to eat too much of this. We want them to have more of the natural browse.
We may not always get the opportunity to go out to see the wildlife, but you will never miss the opportunity to see it from the comfort of your couch.
This is home to animals that have been found out there either injured, abandoned, or confiscated from people who are holding them illegally.
Only on TV 47 Wildlife, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m.
Disability is a club that anyone can join.
I live with special needs. It means I have a limitation. There are things I can't be able to do personally myself.
And in our journey to talk about disability, we tell the stories of those with disabilities and even sit with specialists to understand what it means for those affected directly and indirectly.
Everybody's life, mine has also been faced with ups and downs.
If it becomes a self-stigmatized thing where you feel like you are judging yourself too harsh, you blame yourself, and you perceive that it happened because you failed.
Join me, Zainab Mohammed, on Beyond the Limit every Saturday at 7:30 p.m.
An entrepreneur is defined as someone who has the ability and desire to establish, administer, and succeed in a startup venture along with the risks entitled to it to make profits.
I'm a professional financier with a professional paper in banking. However, for fashion, it's something I've always loved ever since I was small.
Started as a baby business. It was all about, you have your machines, the haircuts, wear the heads, bring the scalps.
We wanted something that would remind us about prayer every now and then. So the moment you mention Talit, we always think about prayer because Talit Cakes is founded on prayer.
Get to learn more about these entrepreneurs and what makes them stand out in their field every Monday at 6:30 p.m. only on The Grind.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Thirty-four minutes past at the top of the hour. You're watching TV47 Weekend. Welcome back. Police officers from Githunguri Sub-County Police Headquarters have launched investigations after 2 people lost their lives in a fire tragedy at Gito village of Githunguri town in Kiambu County that started around midnight. Our reporter Amida Yakub with the details.
According to the eyewitnesses, the fire started at around midnight and could not be noticed because no alarm was raised until a driver of a passing vehicle noticed that there was a house on fire and started hooting, thus waking up neighbors who raised the alarm.
Ikafanyika usiku wa manane about na saa 6 na dakika 30 kukawa na an alarm na tukasikia duru sisi wenyeji. Mimi nikiwa neighbor niliposikia nikatokea nje niangalia ikawa ni kwa sababu gani, pengine sababu ilienda dakika chache. Nilipotoka kwangu nikaona moto mkubwa sana penye sasa tuko.
Mr. James Kamira Karanja, a neighbor, was woken up by consistent hooting of the vehicle and noticed the raging fire in the neighborhood and immediately raised alarm, including calling the fire brigade, who were unable to respond immediately because there was station far from the area.
Nikaingia ndani ya nyumba nikachukua simu nikajaribu kupigia watu wa fire brigade through the police. Kwa neema ya Mwenyezi Mungu tukampata OCS wetu akawasiliana na watu wa municipality in charge of fire brigade. Unfortunately, to our disappointment, tulielewa baadaye ya kwamba hatuna fire brigade yenye imeletwa Githunguri kama jinsi governor aliyopotuambia wakati tulikuwa na participation ya Githunguri municipality proposals. Ati fire brigade yenye ingelikuwa kuja kutusaidia ingelitoka Loiro. It was very much unfortunate. Tulipigana na hiyo moto about 30 minutes plus.
Ni hii moto hawange kufa. Na kama kumekuwa na fire brigade hapa karibu, ingekuja na isaidie kuzima hii moto kwa haraka na hawangeumia ama kukufa. So tuna huzuni sana kwa kupoteza. Tunaomba gavana wetu atupee hiyo fire brigade hapa karibu iwe inasaidia kwa hii kijiji. Asante.
MCA Githunguri Ward. Tumepata janga la moto hapa ya Githunguri, kijiji inaitwa Gateway. Tuko na shida sana pande ya Githunguri Ward sababu ya kukosa gari ya kuzima moto. Mnapo jana usiku tulipata hii janga la moto. Kulikuwa na vijana wawili walikuwa wamelala katika hii nyumba, na wakati tulijaribu kufikia watu wa fire walitobia gari Koroiro na wanafanya juhudi ifike hapa Githunguri. Haikufika na moto ilizimwa na wakazi wa hapa na hatukupata hata gari haikufika hapa. Tunafanya request ama tunafanya hii demand tupate gari ya moto hapa Githunguri, sababu jaga kama hizi tumezipata kwa muda wa miezi 3 na hakuna mahali tunakuja kusaidika.
Amida Yakub, TV47.
Let's talk international matters now, just for you. 56 people have reportedly lost their lives, with at least 590 others nursing injuries in Sudan. This is according to the Doctors' Union in the country. In the second day of the clashes Sunday, the Sudan Army Forces, that is SAF, used airstrikes and the Rapid Support Forces
wakati mwingine kama weekend mimi najiachilia.
Hata ukumbuki hii story.
Nikifika watu wangu wakinipokea na kupokeleka.
Umeset the mood.
Nimeset the mood. Naweza kupokeleka. Nikitumai kwamba mzima popote pale ulipo, nikikukaribisha katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi. Jina langu Elizabeth Mutuku, na katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi tunakupa nafasi kutangamana nao kila siku ya Alhamisi kuanzia saa 1:30 kuendelea siku nyingine. Tutapatana papa hapa umjue kiongozi mwingine.
Jiunge nasi toka hapa hadi ufuoni mwa bahari. Meli yetu itakapotua nanga kwa uhondo ribo ya riwaya hii mwisho wa kosa. Monica.
It's early morning in Maralal. Start your morning informed, educated, entertained, and above all, know your country. From the beautiful plains of Samburu County to the skyscrapers of Nairobi, Morning Cafe certainly got you covered. Indeed, a beautiful place to watch and certainly a moment of understanding and knowing your country. Indeed, to the remotest parts of every county.
Join me, Linda Alela, every weekday from 6 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
The diversity of Kenya's wildlife has garnered international fame.
This is pellets that we give to the tourists, the giraffes. We ration because we don't want the giraffes to eat too much of this. We want them to have more of the natural browse.
We may not always get the opportunity to go out to see the wildlife, but you'll never miss the opportunity to see it from the comfort of your couch.
This is home to animals that have been found out there either injured, abandoned, or confiscated from people who are holding them illegally.
Only on TV47 Wildlife, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m.